Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing? Dilo Shy says, "Hi, can you draw a Dilophosaurus?" Unfortunately not. I'm going to be painting backgrounds for Dino-Defenders today. No Dilophosauruses, I'm afraid. But actually, there you go. Just for you. Let me... I'll just very quickly draw a Dilophosaurus. Really quickly for you, look. Because, you know, I'm that kind of guy. Maybe we don't want it to be red. Yo, Titan of Serpents. Here you go. Let me see if I can just speed... If I could just speed draw a Dilophosaurus quickly. Okay, here we go. Speed draw. There you go. I hope you are liking this speed draw of a Dilophosaurus. Teeth are too big. There you go. Anyway, right, back to work. Yo, Titan of Serpents. So, as promised, I'm here. It's a week later since my last stream, and we'll be doing this for 3 hours or so. And we're going to hopefully be doing 2 backgrounds today. I don't know how much we're going to get done. We're going to try and get this background done in this frame, but I'm probably going to just do it. Actually, is that the same? Oh, I might as well sling in this one, this. So if I put this jungle in here. Because the characters are lost in the jungle in episode 4, there's going to be a lot of jungle going on. So you have to get used to it. Okay, it's just so I can get the frame. So yeah, we're going to be doing this one and this background. Are you going to draw Camp Cretaceous? Asks Dilo Shy. No, but I'm going to be talking about Camp Cretaceous today because I've watched the series and I have some thoughts on it. But yeah, that's basically. I won't start talking about that until we've got a good number of people in the stream. Let me just double check that everything's coming through okay. It says painting and Camp Cretaceous discussion. Okay, yeah, so we're not. Yeah, that's good. Alright, so let's get this underway. For starters, what I want to do is cut this out. Yeah, I'm gonna wait until a few more people turn up before I start my Camp Cretaceous review. And then we can talk about it. Finally, someone says my name right. It says Dino Shy. Dilo Shy. I just said it wrong just then by accident. I'm sorry. Titan of Serpents says, I also forgot to mention that on the cover of my copy of Valley of Guanji, Guanji has an Ankylosaurus tail clip for some reason. Really? going to have to look that up. I have not seen that cover before. I have Valley of Guanji over there. I'm probably not going to get up to get it because I need to concentrate on doing this, but I'll check after the stream to see if he has the Ankylosaurus club, and if he does, that means I've not paid attention to it. So in terms of Dino-Defenders, where I'm up to, I recently completed a frame for episode 4 that I'm really pleased with, and it took me absolutely ages to complete this frame, like well over a month to do. And the reason it took that long is because you know, I had a baby. My wife and I had a baby 2 months ago today, and so in those 2 months, you know, whenever I got the chance, whenever the baby was asleep and we were free to do so, I was working on this frame. So, and it would have taken me, you know, only a couple of days to do if I had all the time in the world. But it took me that long, but I finally got it finished, and there's a lot of animation in it. And I was really pleased with the results of how it turned out. But obviously, talking quite cryptic here, you're going to have to wait to see that once episode 4 is finally released. Most likely around 2021 time. I wouldn't be surprised if it came out on June 1st, you know, like the first episode and the third episode come out a year from now. But progress is underway. I mean, I am doing quite a bit. So we'll see how we go. Maybe, just maybe I can make Christmas for this episode, but I don't know. That's actually no. That's I don't know if that's doable. But we'll see. I'll just work on it when I can. Yo, Freaky Boy, finally made it to a stream. Hey Jack, hello, Freaky Boy. Freaky Boy John Dog. That's what I should probably say the full name. Freaky Boy John Dog. But yeah, that's sort of where I'm up to, is doing the backgrounds for this. And getting the frames completed that I'd been working on for a long time. So we're going to cut this out. So we have this top layer. You don't have to, the first part rolls off the tongue. Freaky Boy John Dog. No, I'm going to call you Freaky Boy John Dog. Freaky Boy John Dog. Mr. Death Sniper 97 says, does anyone know when episode 4 will be out for Dino-Defenders? It will be out when it's finished, and it's a long way off just yet. But that's why I'm doing these live streams, so you guys can actually follow some of the progress behind the scenes and know that work is still underway on it. So never fear, it will be here eventually. But it's going to be a long while. What new dinos are in it? I'm not going to reveal what dinosaurs are in this episode. I like to keep everything a secret until it's revealed, but I'll say this, that there is a lot of dinosaurs in it. Ones I can confirm are in it are the Cretaceous, the Megaraptor, the Megalosaurus. I'll say that. The Megalosaurus makes its appearance in this episode. I think I confirmed that on the last stream, so I think I'm safe to say I can say that. Yeah, I believe we'll be getting the second series of Camp Cretaceous pretty soon. How many are left after everything went wrong, says Mr. Death Sniper. Half of them died, didn't they? There's 2 more episodes to go. but at the same time, I don't know how long those episodes are going to be. There was originally 6 episodes in total, but I think I can combine the plot lines of episodes 5 and 6 into one episode, and I'm literally just going to make them and see how long they are. There's no like set time limit for each episode, so episode 4 could be like 30 minutes long, or 20 minutes, or 15. Like it all just depends on when it's done, and I look back and go, yep, that's it, that's finished. Freaky Boy John Dog says, I'm honestly surprised with the Indominus' role in the first seasons, but then I didn't realise it wouldn't make sense for her to be in the show at all, especially after episode 5. Yeah, well, okay, let's talk about Camp Cretaceous, shall we? So here's my thoughts on Camp Cretaceous. And I need to sort of explain my reasoning behind my thoughts on the show. So I've got 2 things come to mind when I think of Camp Cretaceous, my thoughts on Camp Cretaceous. One, I have to make sure that I don't come across as a how do I put this? Come across as a entitled fanboy, because you know, it's a show for kids at the end of the day, and it's silly and fun and all that sort of stuff, so it's like it's very hard to take criticism seriously. But at the same time, I will be criticizing it based on the fact that, you know, they want it to be hard canon with the films and all this sort of stuff, and so I'm approaching the show from 2 different angles. One, I know that it's a show for kids, so, and it was fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie, like the show was fun to watch. It was you know, nice to see after how many years of not having an animated Jurassic series to finally have one. That was nice to see. And I did like, I'll start with the positives. I really did like some of the scenes in the show. I really liked you know, the first scene where they go into the... Oh, there'll be spoilers, by the way. Maybe I should put that in the title of the stream. Camp Cretaceous. Spoilers. Spoiler discussion. There you go. So I should say, yeah, if you haven't seen all 8 episodes, then, you know, I'm going to be talking about everything. Hello, Mark Davies. He said, afternoon, Jack and chat. Hope you're all doing well. Literally just started Camp Cretaceous an hour ago. Was not expecting Mr. Day&A cameo in the first episode. Okay, Miss Mark Davies, I'm going to be talking spoilers, so you might not want to be listening in. I'm going to be talking about everything. Yeah, I'm glad I put that in the title now. Yo, Derek. So anyway, yeah, so I'm approaching this from 2 different angles. I know the show was fun. I really liked the scene when they first enter the Carnotaurus paddock. And I really liked the underground tunnel sequence involving Toro, which was in the trailer, so it's not really a spoiler. I liked all that stuff. I really liked the character of Darius. Is that... What's the main character's name? Is it Darius? I've seen the show twice and I can't even remember his name. And Kenji and Dr. Wu. I really liked Dr. Wu in the show as well, even though he's like a brief cameo. Darius, yeah, that is it. Hello, David. So I really liked that. I really liked the concept of, you know, being on the island before everything goes wrong. And I liked the design of the actual camp at Camp Cretaceous. That was cool. And it was nice to see them explain some of the lore stuff. You know, obviously I'm going to be biased towards them you know, adding in the stuff from our viral websites that we wrote. I really enjoyed that. I also really enjoyed, you know, seeing Easter eggs of like names like Alan Grant and Eddie Sattler being name dropped. And I also enjoyed, you know, seeing other things like the Jurassic forums or whatever it was in the thing is like Jurassic Outpost's old forums modelled after that. That was kind of fun to see. And all that sort of stuff. Can't fault it for that. I really like the Mosasaurus scene as well. And I like the Indominus zipline sequence. That was fun. I'm just trying to think if I'm forgetting anything. I didn't. The bioluminescent Parasaurolophus I didn't really care about personally, but you know, I can see how people get a kick out of that. What else? What else was good in the show? Oh, the storyline with Darius and his dad. That was surprising. That was really good to see, because that was like, you know, that was hard hitting and unexpected, really. And it was cool to see like the Masrani going after the Indominus from a different angle. That was fun. But really, that's about it for me. You know, because I don't know. That's like, I can see why it's a fun, silly, fun time. But if I'm gonna put my my canon head on, in my like, you know, put my canon hat on here, because the show's meant to be, you know, hard canon or whatever, I have to take it seriously as hard canon. And as someone who's worked on the canon, there's a lot of things in this show that I was like, well, okay, now I don't know how serious I can take this show as canon. So going forward, because obviously there might be some people being like, well, hang on, Jack, you work on some of the canon and stuff, like, how can you be saying this? I'm going to respect the show as canon going forward, like we did with Jurassic Park the game, and like we did with, even though that game is arguably not canon at all, but we respected it. So if you like it as canon, you can still have it as canon at this point. There's nothing in the films or anything to say otherwise, except for I guess the door of the visitor center. But yeah, we'll respect it as canon. But for my own personal, like, canon, I don't know if I can count Camp Cretaceous as canon, mainly because of all the inaccuracies in the show. I was really... Let's get on to why I'm scooting around this, because I'm being quite vague here. The lack of Claire and Owen was a big deal for me, especially when we went to the raptor paddock. Now, I know there might be some reasons why they couldn't do those characters, you know, I can already hear people saying like, the voice actors and stuff, but I don't believe they used BD Wong for Wu, did they? Let me see. Let's see if I can. Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous. Let's have a look. Yeah, Glenn Chun played Dr. Wu, so they already didn't get BD Wong for Dr. Wu, so why couldn't they get other voice actors in to play Claire and Owen? And Owen and Barry not being at the raptor paddock, I thought was really not good. I was surprised that early on in the show, like episode 2, to be like, well, where the hell are those characters, because this is where they work. Like, I thought that was a perfect opportunity to see those characters. And not seeing Claire at any point was, for me, a big turn off, because, you know, especially around the camp, or you know, introducing her days, because the kids arrive at the camp days before you know, everything goes to pot. So I was surprised that we just didn't see Claire in those first 2 episodes at least. But she just wasn't there. So the island to me felt really empty. And that was another thing I really didn't like about the show, was the emptiness of it. Like, it didn't feel like the park was busy with people. Now, I know it's meant to be the other side of the island, and I know that, like, I understand that Camp Cretaceous was a place on the island that was a work in progress. It wasn't finished. People didn't take it seriously and all that sort of stuff. But the lack of people when they're near the zip line, the lack of people around the labs, the lack of people on the roads, like workers and stuff, the lack of not seeing Main Street was really off-putting to me, because it made the island feel dead. Like, it didn't feel like the same place as what we saw in the 2015 film. Like, you know, the Gyrosphere Valley, and you see loads of gyrospheres going around there, and also the Gallimimus Valley is what I meant. Sorry, the Gallimimus thing. You've got all those people on those trucks and stuff. You didn't see vehicles like that going around, and that annoyed me, because I was like, why does this island feel so dead? It doesn't feel like alive, like it's busy with loads of people on it. And I guess, like, you just have to let that go because it is the other side of the island. But even then, I thought there should be more park staff and stuff. It should feel really busy. It'd be good to see, like, workers working on the Camp Cretaceous camp and all that sort of stuff. And I did listen to the interview with Brad and Zach, the Jurassic Park podcast. He was talking about, you know, how they couldn't, to quote, like, they couldn't do crowds for whatever reason. And I was like, oh, fair enough, you know, it's animation, it takes time, all this sort of stuff. But then I started thinking, well, hang on a second. Especially after I watched the show, because there's a shot in the last episode where they show like this huge crowd of people on the docks running towards the boat. And then I was thinking, well, hang on, you've got this one shot where you do have crowds. So why couldn't you copy and paste those crowds in other scenes? Because it'd be good to see, like, you know, when, well, I don't know, like when they see Masrani chasing the Indominus, the Avery has, like, people there. So, because it's an attraction, I know they closed everything north of the border, but it would be cool to see, like, streams of people walking, and then they start screaming when the Indominus runs past and all that sort of stuff. Like, it just needed more people seen. But then again, you can do crowds in other ways. It didn't even need to be people. It could be vehicles. Like, you could see vehicles in the background driving around. Or, and this was a suggestion I made in a private chat, they made CCTV footage in Jurassic World of the actual park, like with the actors walking around and this, that, and the other. Why didn't they take that footage, like, of real people, and doctor it, like, in a like cartoon filter, and have it on in the background, you know, in the I don't know, when we in some scenes. I don't know where you could fit it in, but it could be in the background somewhere, like, you know, the scene where Roxy and Dave are held off in that little waiting room, where you see that goofy little picture of Bumpy hanging off the wall. It's like, if they had, like, screens on the wall that showed, like, the park in action, it would give that feeling of like a busy park. But it never really did that, and I just felt like they mishandled the Jurassic World incident, like the Indominus breaking out and causing all this havoc. Now, I know we're predominantly following these kids, but it just felt to me like it was only the kids, Roxy and Dave, Dr. Wu, Eddie, and Masrani in the helicopter. It felt to me like there was no one else, even though there was, like, a few other characters who pop up here, there, and everywhere. But it I don't know, I felt like the island didn't feel like the island, if that makes any sense. And on that note, the way the scenarios play out, there was a point in the show where I said to myself, I don't want to, like, because I've criticised people of doing this, so I don't want to fall into my own sort of, I don't want to be a hypocrite here, but, like, you can't be disappointed by expecting something to happen and then it doesn't. You have to take the show for what it is, which is, you know, the argument I make. But the way the show played out, I was in my head. I was like, oh, this is going to happen now, and then it didn't happen, and I was like, okay. And then I was like, this is going to happen. They've set it up so perfectly, and then it didn't happen. And then I started falling into my own thing here, and I was like, oh, hang on a second. All right, so let's. And then I said, I'll wait till the last episode, and then I'll see where it could have been done better with the exact same plot elements. And I think I worked it out, which I'll go into greater detail in a minute. So one of those moments, let me bring it up as an example. One of those moments is there's a scene where Ben, they're all going out to look at the Indominus, or they're going to go look what made that roar from the tower. This is in episode 4. And Ben is saying, no, I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to stay put because that's what we're meant to do. And, you guys go ahead. And obviously, as it plays out in the show, he ends up looking at a T-Rex skeleton, getting spooked out, and he follows them. And when this was playing out, I was sitting there thinking, oh my god, like he's going to be at the camp alone, thinking he's doing the right thing, and then he's going to go out onto the balcony or something, look down, and the Indominus is going to be there, and we're going to see how the camp gets destroyed. And I was gearing up for that because I thought, oh, this is perfect because it's quite an ironic turn that he does the right thing, but then he ends up in the wrong place, kind of thing. And that didn't happen. And the way we see the camp destroyed, which is really weird, like they just find the camp destroyed, and it's like, how did the Indominus get all the way up in that tree? Now, I would have kind of accepted it if we saw claw marks, like kind of reminiscent of how Owen looked up the up the paddock walls. Like if we saw claw marks climbing up the tree, like you could imagine the Indominus was climbing up like a big monkey or something. I could be like, okay, it's crazy, but I accept it. But we got none of that. We got footprints on the floor. So it's like, how did it? If it hit the tree, I don't think that was strong enough. Those redwood trees are massive, like they're huge. Like the Indominus isn't that strong. So I was kind of a bit dumbfounded by the handling of that. And then in my head I was like, well, if they did go the whole bloomin' Ben had stayed there, we could have had an interesting scene of Ben looking down as the Indominus is climbing up the tree, and then cut back, and when they arrive back at the camp, because Ben doesn't do anything at all really in the whole Indominus zipline thing, except for like, he goes, oh, he got him, or whatever he says. So it's like, okay, you could have done more with Ben there and added to his character. Now I know it's difficult to be like, okay, well, I know it's for me difficult to be like, oh, I'm disappointed by something that I expected to happen but it didn't, which I'm kind of not, but I'm disappointed that they didn't like show it in a more cooler way. It was just kind of like, oh, the camp's destroyed, and forget about it. It's like, okay, that's Camp Cretaceous. Like, why didn't we see Camp Cretaceous get destroyed? But going back to my previous tease of like using the same elements in the show and making it a little bit cooler is the word that I'm going to use in my memo. Okay, so when they, I don't know what that noise was. When they get to the, okay, so I'm gonna use the same elements from episodes 6, I think it is. Episode 6, when the episode opens and they're seeing Mazarani chase the Pteranodon. Okay, so on the Jurassic World map, the Avery is, I believe, if I remember correctly, the Cretaceous cruise from Jurassic World, the people on the paddle boats, goes past the Avery, which is hinted at in the show that they get on the river adventure. But obviously calling it a different name makes me think, well, this is a different ride, and it's also one that the public don't know about, because, or at least we assume they don't know about, because Darius doesn't know that they have bioluminescent parasaurs, which he explains. So I was like, okay, so this is a different river ride, and when they go down that whole river section, they arrive at the Mosasaur Lagoon from if you're looking at the Mosasaur Lagoon, they arrive from the left-hand side. Whereas if you follow the the Cretaceous cruise, it goes down the sort of right-handish side of the island around the Avery, and then arrives at the right-hand side of the Mosasaur Lagoon if you go through the river canal system. But obviously, here's my scenario, here's my pitch, right, of how I would have done the whole end half of the season 1 of Camp Cretaceous. Okay, using the same elements. They see Masrani's helicopter. There's a few people like walking because they've been told, you know, the whole top of the park's been evacuated and they're making their way back down in vehicles or whatever. They part, the Indominus runs past, Masrani's chasing them in the helicopter. They all flee, the kids watch in horror as Masrani's thing explodes. The Pteranodons fly out and they chase them. They get on the Cretaceous cruise. They say, get under the tree cover. They're paddling along. And then there's a new, like, under construction sign for a cave. And they're, like, in there. They go through and they push through this under construction sign. And they go into the cave. We see the bioluminescent parasaurs. They get pulled down that waterfall, just like it happens in the show. And they end up in the Mosasaur Lagoon. The Mosasaur Lagoon scene happens exactly how it is in the show. And then they end up on the steps. Now, just to interject here, I was disappointed by this section of the show where they just sat on the steps and did nothing, because the sun is setting, and by this point in the timeline of things, which is also what breaks it for canon for me, is just after the Pteranodon attack sequence. So I would assume that there are people on Main Street cleaning up. Why these kids sit on their ass on these steps and do nothing in this whole time when they are directly right next to Main Street is beyond me. And I know they don't even show Main Street in the show, and I believe there's even a shot of the Mosasaur Lagoon from afar where you can see it doesn't even look like it's near Main Street or anything. So anyway, and I felt like in the show this is where it just sort of lulled, it just sort of sagged. So I was like, okay, instead of sitting on your ass on the steps, you need to move, like you need to go. So this is how you make it more interesting. They get up, they're like, oh my god, the Mosasaur, we just escaped it. Okay, we're all safe, and she's hurt her leg. They turn around, and Toro turns the corner, like it does when Roxy and Dave are on the steps. Toro turns the corner, roars, and it's like on the other side of the steps, starts running towards them. Kenji, who we just saw use the bloomin' controls, he goes, guys, I know what to do, and he turns the controls on, and all of the seats lower. They go down. And we see, you know, Toro roaring at them from the top. There could even be a scene where he's like up the steps or something. I don't know. There could be a little bit of a kerfuffle there. But anyway, the steps lower with all the kids on it, and we see the Mosasaur underwater. And then they're like, okay, we need to get out via this way. Let's go through the underground tunnels again. So they go into the tunnels, and, you know, at this point we know Toro's on their tail essentially. So they go into the underground tunnels. We see the compies, so they do that whole scene there. Ben is with them, obviously, at this point. They're under the tunnels. And then Toro comes around the corner, and they're like, oh, he's somehow got down, he's followed us. We have the whole sequence in the underground tunnels with Toro, the whole sequence in the dock. Then when they break the wall with the explosion, when they come out, that's where they find the monorail. Because the monorail station behind the Mosasaur Lagoon doesn't make sense because that's not there in the film. So it's a retcon. And again, it breaks continuity and canon for me. So how you do it is they break out of that dock area that they sealed up, and you find out they're in an area of the island where there's this monorail station. So they go onto the monorail. We have the whole scenes with the Pteranodon. Ben presumably dies, and instead of them jumping down from the train to go through the underground tunnels, instead of that, the train they're on does just end up at the docks, and then they find that everyone's gone. End of the series. To me, that, using the same elements they all had, and I know the Toro thing with the explosion is more of a climax than the Pteranodons, but I think after seeing Ben die, that would have been enough of a climax to be like, oh my god, like, that ended on a really sore note. And it would leave the kids in a situation where they're one down, and then you get this whole speech from Darius going, look guys, we need to stick together, blah blah blah. It would have kept the pacing up, I think, and it wouldn't have been so sluggish. And I'd also wanted to point out another thing I thought of is which would alleviate some of the issues I have with it, is when in my scenario, when they're on the Mosasaur steps for that brief second before Toro comes up, the kids can go, look, Main Street's just there. There's people there cleaning up. Let's go call for help. And as they, and we get a quick shot of Main Street and you see people cleaning up and all this sort of stuff. They're picking up pteranodons and they're moving them off and, helping people off. They're like going, hey, like this. That's when you see Toro come around the corner and they panic and it's all like, oh my god, like this panic. So, that would alleviate not seeing crowds and that. Oh, and also another thing I wanted to interject, because and this is another thing where it's like, oh, I was disappointed this didn't happen in the show, even though I can't really blame the show for not doing something. Is not seeing the Indominus Rex versus T-Rex fight again from a different angle. So in my scenario where they find the monorail, it would have been cool to see them on the monorail, after going through the underground tunnels and all that sort of stuff. And then as the trees part, and in the very, very distance, you can see the Innovation Center at night, and you can see the T-Rex Indominus just battling it out, just very small, just in the distance. And they're like, what is going on over there? And, and then the trees part. That would have made the series, in my eyes, way more cooler, way more interesting in pace-wise. And, coupled with the whole Ben staying at the camp and then the Indominus turning up there, would have made it a little bit more interesting. Seeing Owen and Barry at the raptor paddock and seeing Claire at the camp just briefly. She doesn't even have to do much, just have a presence there, like introducing the kids to the new camp that's opening and all this sort of stuff, like, and then hands it off to Roxy and Dave. Just seeing those characters would have made all the difference, and seeing crowds. But because those weren't in there, I really was let down by the show, if I'm honest, from my own personal perspective. It just wasn't as hard hitting as it otherwise could have been. And for me, I don't know if I consider it canon in my own personal canon. And people out there know that I have my own personal canon, because Twister is a part of that, even though that's actually officially not part of Jurassic canon. But I literally, I put Camp Cretaceous, if I have to sum it up in a brief sentence, Camp Cretaceous to me is on the same level as Jurassic Park the game. It tries to be canon, it messes some of that canon up. It's fun, it's silly, it has some really cool sequences, and it just has the same air, it has the same atmosphere as Jurassic Park the game to me. So that's my summation of Camp Cretaceous. So I'm looking forward to season 2. I'm really I hope that they get it, because they're not reliant on the island now being, full of people. They're probably going to show Main Street, I hope, and other places. Because why I'm hung up on the whole Main Street thing is, why have we not got any sound? Video paused. Yeah, keep playing it, please. Why I'm kind of hung up on the whole Main Street thing is because Main Street, where the Mosasaurus Lagoon is, where Main Street is there's loads of radios, there's loads of buildings to call for help. Like, there's so much there that the kids could go and do and call the people and be like, hey, yeah, we're 6 kids, we're lost, can you hold the ferries for us? We're at the Mosasaur Lagoon, or something like that. There's so many things they could have done with that. So because they're not doing that now, I'm kind of excited that for season 2 to see where it goes. And I kind of hope that the animation is tweaked a little bit, because that's another thing I wasn't particularly amazed by. I think some of the visuals were nicer, the jungles and Camp Cretaceous especially, like the actual camp was amazing. And I know the show was probably expensive to make, but to me it kind of felt cheap, and that I didn't like. And I don't know. And obviously I'm going to be a little bit more judgmental of the show in terms of its canon and all that, but it's still fun. It's nice to have an animated series, and it's been a long time coming. So I am happy to finally see it, take place. and I really hope that the show does well. And I know the fans are absolutely loving it, so I'm glad everyone is loving it, because it's been a long time coming for this sort of thing to happen in the Jurassic franchise, and so I am happy to see it doing really well despite my grievances with it. But I just, oh man, it's one of those things where it's because I'm a creative person, and I can see the potential in things. It's like, oh man, if I could get my hands on Camp Cretaceous and do a re-edit, a reshuffle, and add bits in, like, oh god, it would be so much more finely tuned. Oh, and another thing I just wanted to briefly mention, when we were watching it, I showed my wife the show. We were watching it, she sat there, she went, she didn't really say much through the whole thing, but the one thing she did say, she just sat there, and it was during episode 5 where the Indominus was chasing the kids through the whole the crates, those blue crates outside the lab. My wife just turns to me and goes, have they made the Indominus dumb? Like, have they made the Indominus stupid? And I was sitting there thinking, yeah, I didn't clock that before, actually. They kind of have. And she said, yeah, it's just running around, and they're throwing rocks to, like, distract it. And she was like, I think the Indominus was in the film was more clever than that. Like, the Indominus would be the one making some noise and tricking them, kind of thing. Like, it's a devious thing. And then I found out on Instagram, thanks to Clayton, days later, that my wife's intuitions were correct. One of the creators of the show on Instagram posted on their account that whole Indominus crate sequence was originally Toro. Toro was the creature that they were running from, and they put some animatics on their Instagram to show the scene, and it is beat for beat exactly the same, shot for shot exactly the same, but instead of the Indominus, it's Toro in these animatics. And I was like, well, that answers it. So why they decided to change it to the Indominus, I think maybe because they wanted more Indominus in the show, which is fair enough, but at the same time, you made the Indominus dumb, and it changes the character. And if someone like my wife, who isn't a super fan, can pick up on that, it's like, again, breaking sort of canon. And so in my version of Camp Cretaceous, if they had the whole Indominus attack on the camp, just a brief little attack, that would have made up for the lack of Indominus to some extent, and then you could have had the extra scene with Toro and this kid and chasing the kids around the crates. So anyway, I'm going to look at chat, because chat's been going by a lot since I've been talking. Monster Man Alex says, I hope Ben is living terrified in the jungle like Eric Kirby, while the rest of the kids live like Swiss Family Robinson. That would be cool. I will say that Eric Kirby wasn't terrified in the jungle. In the film, he doesn't act terrified at all. Yeah, no one's watching the Raptors at night, says Tom Jurassic. Again, another reason why the island feels dead to me. It's like little things like that. Hello, Lewis. Mark Davies says, speaking of Twister, how would you feel if they made a reboot or a sequel, or do you have ideas what you'd like to do for it? I believe they are rebooting it, aren't they? Are they I think I read they're rebooting Twister, and I'm not for it whatsoever. I think leave Twister alone. It only needs to be one film. You don't need to do a sequel. It's fine. The story. It's not like Jurassic, where they're like, you've got this island full of dinosaurs or whatever you can go back to. Like Twister, in the story of Twister, they say that it's a freak, like a load of storms one after another have been predicted, and it's unheard of, and it will never happen again for like hundreds of years or something. So they they have these series of tornadoes they're predicting that will just surface, and that's what they do, so they can then try and do their Dorothy thing. But yeah, no, I mean, Camp Cretaceous was fun. I'm going to keep watching it. I'm excited for it. it's just a lot of like little things that got to me, and it was like all these little things made up the whole. And I felt quite bad when I was watching it, feeling this, because everyone loves it. Like, as far as I know, I might be one of the only people. I know Bam Sam, I spoke to him, he wasn't too fussed by it. But like, and I know it's designed for kids, so it's very difficult to say like, oh, you know, I was disappointed in the show, really. But I really felt like there was some really fundamental flaws in the actual construction of the show that could have been remedied using the exact same plot points and would have made the show far more engaging. Even though it is engaging anyway for a lot of people, so it's kind of, my point's kind of made moot by that. But at the same time, I think engaging for fans like myself who are like-minded, I guess. But we're all individuals. People love it, so it's like, I don't know, who am I to talk, really? Tom Jurassic says, I'm excited to see how they do the second season. I really hope we get to see more of the old Jurassic Park infrastructure. Maybe the kids stumble across things. One can hope, but I'm not holding out hope. It's safe to say that my expectations have been lowered by the show. But at the same time, you know, my expectations of the show were kind of met in terms of the quality of the animation and stuff, but I just was like, Owen and Claire not being in it and all that, I thought that was a given, but obviously not. Obviously I was wrong. And that's the, yeah, I just saw Mr. Death Sniper say Blue and Rexy will be the biggest threats in season 2. But that's the thing, it's like the kids, one of the biggest threats in this series was the Indominus, and the kids don't even know that it's dead. So are they going to be like running around assuming it's still alive? Or are they going to see its body somehow? Like, again, it's one of those things where, like, had they seen the Indominus die on the monorail, like the trees part and they see that end fight and the mosasaur launch out and grab it, and then they're like, yeah, like, you know, because then that would add to their whole, you know, their whole speech on the train at the end where they're like, you know, oh, everything goes wrong, and then they start to succumb to the idea that actually no, they might be alright. That would have added to that, because then they would have seen the Indominus die and then have been like, oh yeah, look, things are looking up for us, or something like that. Anyway, I'm going to have a sip of wine. Tom Jurassic says, not sure if you saw my theory, Jack, but I would love to see a future season tie into Fallen Kingdom's opening. The kids think rescue has arrived, but it's Merc sent there from Mills. Yeah, it'd be kind of fun. That would be fun. Thing is, like, all the toys and everything, like, there was things in the toy line that I was expecting to be in the show but weren't, and obviously they should hopefully turn up in later seasons, but I was really excited to see the Ceratosaurus from Jurassic Park 3 turn up, but alas, I guess that might be saved for another series. And those 3 baryonyx, you know, that they revealed in the toy lines, they weren't there. So I wasn't, like, I'm not holding that against the show, because, you know, you can't expect everything to be in season 1, and we know there's other seasons coming. But at the same time, I was like, oh man, gotta wait a little bit longer for those, I guess. Hey Gigaraptor, how we doing? Yeah. Gigaraptor says, Jack, do you expect Aftermath to be canon? No. So that's the thing, is like, I don't know everything about what they got planned for the canon, like, except for, you know, Dominion. Freaky Boy John Dog says, considering all we've seen of the Ceratosaurus in the canon is just a stupid joke from the third film, I'd definitely love to see it return. Out of all of them, yeah, same here. Tom Jurassic says, I do wonder how long the show can go without some other events taking place. It seems like the current concept could only last another season or two at best without becoming stale. I really think they're going to create their own events, aren't they? There's going to be things happen in the show where, you know, expand the lore or whatever. There was a lot of lore stuff they added to the show that I really liked. You know, the camp itself is cool. The zip line was fun. Answering that why the Carnotauruses are not on show, and the Sinoceratopses and all that sort of stuff. That's all good. Can't fault it there. I mean, for me personally, it was a bit of a given, but I will say that's another thing I was a bit disappointed with in the show, is what the vehicles and all that sort of stuff kind of looked off. Like all the Masrani's helicopter didn't look like Masrani's helicopter. The ACU vans didn't look like the ACU van. And what annoyed me about the ACU van is they had the six-wheeler one that the ACU use in the Camp Cretaceous. So why the kids didn't stumble across the grey ACU version of that truck and they just use that same exact model and just change the colour of it, I have no idea. Instead they find this van, which I believe is meant to be the one from Jurassic World that the ACU use, and it looks nothing like it. Again, the same with the Cretaceous cruise. Oh, well, the river adventure boats. Like if it was the Cretaceous cruise, then all they'd have to do is turn those boats blue, and hey presto. But I kind of feel like marketing for this series has been all, let's go back to the old Jurassic Park style, you know, the reds, the yellows, because that's what the fans have been, you know, wanting. They want to distance themselves from this bluish logo Jurassic World, but for me it's like, okay, well, that kind of takes me out of it as well, because this is Jurassic World, it's not Jurassic Park. Redhead says they didn't have vans to begin with, they had a Mercedes Jeeps. They had they did have, let me see if I can find it. Just gonna see if I can find. Oh, let me. Well, firstly, let me. Let me do this. So here you go. We've got the Mosasaur. Now I just want to point out, where's the monorail behind here? I don't see a monorail. Do you? I don't see one. Oops. And then, where did I want to go? What are we looking at? Yeah, I believe it's meant to be this van here. This ACU van. That's like what they're meant to be emulating, but it looks nothing like it. So it's like, oh god. Yeah, Michael Pierce says, thank you. It was such a big issue for me. The monorail was such a retcon. Plus Main Street wasn't even in any shots. It was just jungle near the Mosasaur Arena. Exactly, and it's like... And I know you would be annoyed because you make that fan game where you recreate the whole island. But that's what I mean. It's like little things like that add up. It's like, why not just make a van that looks similar to this? Get rid of the logo, because they already took they put the Jurassic Park T-Rex skeleton logo in the place of the Mercedes logo on the Camp Cretaceous van. But why not use, if you're going to have the kids find a vehicle, sorry, bear with me. Why not have the kids find this vehicle, the actual ACU one? You just take the red stripes off it and the Camp Cretaceous logo, and hey presto, you've got it. Like, and look, there's seats in the back, so they could all fit in. It's not like you needed it to be a van. But anyway, I digress. I digress. Point is, this is why I compare it to Jurassic Park the game, because it was like bloomin' Jerry Harding's moustache all over again. That's what it felt like, one after another. See you later, David. By the way, can I just point out, look at this shot here. This is a direct screen cap from Jurassic World. Look at all that blue filter. Look at all that blue. God, look at how blue that all looks. I love how it just doesn't look blue at all. It's funny. Bloody blue filter. Okay, so I've actually almost done with this frame. And then we'll move on to the jungle. See you later, Tom. Yeah, I was hoping... well, I didn't want to be cruel, but I did hope that they killed the character of Ben off, because that would have added real stakes to the show. But they had stakes, like with the adults, you know, they saw dying, but having Ben die... It's still terrifying, that sequence when he's getting dragged out, you know, by the Pteranodon and he's hanging on for dear life. They did really well with that sequence. But, you know, kids are going to love the show. And it is fun, so... Who am I to talk, really? I'm talking about my ass. So here it says, I just realised they could have easily shown that they had the Spino in the park if it was still alive, and they probably wanted to keep focused on that story at hand. Oh, there's many things they could have done. Michael Pierce says, I feel like Wu was weirdly angry in the show. I like that. That's because he didn't want those bunch of kids in his lab. Like, that made sense to me. It was like, he didn't want kids walking around interrupting his work. Okay, so we've got this smashed area. Let me save that. Alright, let's move on to the next frame we want to do, which is this one. So first things first, let's cut this tree out. Monster Man Alex. Ben's going to ride Bumpy into glorious battles to save the others. I think Ben's time alone will make him a badass. Well, we'll have to wait and see. See, the thing is, I didn't like really any of the characters aside from Darius, Wu, and Kenji. But I found Kenji to be really cringy at times. And I know it's a kid's show, and I know that they've designed these characters to be like sort of the time. But oh god, none of the characters I couldn't relate to any of them. And obviously, I'm a 30 plus year old. So they weren't aiming it towards me demographically, but still. I know what I would have been like as a kid. I still wouldn't have related to them. Except for Darius. Darius was really well done. You know what, actually, I'm surprised they didn't have a kid in the show who we didn't see in the trailers or whatever, like an extra kid who's not on the posters and stuff, who's like a real douchebag or whatever, and then he actually gets killed, so they would be like, oh, you know, yeah, we did kill one of the kid characters. Like a kid who's just there to be eaten. I'm surprised they didn't do that, actually. That seems quite like an obvious thing to do. Because if they're going to do that to Ben, like, why not have a character that sucks and then you have him killed off quite early on to add the stakes to the characters? See you later, Lewis. Thank you for popping by. Brooklyn had a really good arc, in my opinion. Having to deal with the fact that your online presence really means nothing to the world around you, especially in that kind of scenario. It's a nice message. Yeah, it was a nice message, but I still didn't care for her character. Katie Ocarina of Time says, hidden in the storyline where we didn't get a lot of what was going on outside Owen and Claire narrative. I don't quite get what you're trying to say. Hidden in a storyline. Oh wait, I just meant it. Oh wait, that's multiple messages. What else did she say? She said, love the show, and so did my younger kids. Obviously, Bumpy is a huge fave, but I really just appreciate the fact that it was canon and suits the franchise. Would love it this when I was growing up. I mean, I would have liked it when I was growing up, and I do like the show to a certain extent, but I don't consider it canon. That doesn't mean we're going to write it out of canon if we work on anything. It's my own personal canon. Head canon, there you go. It's like in the Alien franchise, for me the story ends at Alien 3. I don't consider Alien Resurrection canon, even though technically it is. And there are people out there who don't consider Alien 3 canon, so there you go. Okay, where are we looking? Redhead said he wasn't a fan of the ending. Yeah, I mean, you'll have to go back and watch the rest of my stream when it's archived, but I give my full thoughts on the show, and I explain how I would have handled the whole second half of the show using the exact same scenarios that they had, but just reordering them, and it would have been, and adding some little elements here and there that could have made it much, much better. And like, you know, when I said like you see Main Street and there's, you know, they should have shown Main Street, and it might have been like a case of, oh, we didn't have time to do it, or we can. It's like rubbish. Hire someone like Michael Pearce, who might still be watching in the chat, who's built Main Street on a game, on a computer game, for God's sake, who knows the park layout, who can build it in a computer, or has it in a computer system. Hire them. And then make sure you retool it so it matches the film in terms of like the Pteranodon's destruction, and just use that. Like render that in there. Like use the community. Use people in the community. Like you used me and Tim for the viral websites and stuff. Like get more. I don't get why they don't do that sort of stuff. And then you could have had Main Street, a shot of Main Street and other stuff. Tyler Surfer says, I didn't expect Toro to be the Kano from Fallen Kingdom. I honestly thought the Kano from Fallen Kingdom was a male variant. I don't think that's confirmed, is it? Is it confirmed that's the same Carnotaurus? I don't think it is. And if it is meant to be the one from Fallen Kingdom, it'll be the one at the end that fights the T-Rex, right? That eats Mills with the T-Rex. It won't be the one that gets stomped on by the T-Rex. Because that one didn't have a scar, and it also wasn't burnt. Didn't have like burn scars all over it. Oh, the one at the end. Yeah, I mean, if it, we'll have to match it up. But I've heard people say that. I don't know if the one at the end of Fallen Kingdom has got like green eyes and like completely black, almost black skin. Maybe that's the charredness of when he got blown up. But also that one has like half a horn, so whether Toro loses half a horn or something in a later season, we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. Redhead says, just like the Thing 2011, they used fan diagrams of the Outpost 32 website of the fallen outpost to recreate it. Exactly. But I'm saying, like, you know, hire, like, literally reach out and hire Michael Pearce. Someone who's actually rebuilt all of Jurassic World Main Street almost one for one in a computer with the same, and then render that version in. Now, see, I'm not a CGI guy, so I could be talking out my butt here, but there's ways of doing it that would be cheap. Mark Redhead says, I do love the fact that we got to see more of how the park operates. I will argue that you didn't. Not to be too petty here, but how the park, we saw how Camp Cretaceous operates. I guess, yeah, we saw how. Yeah, no, I guess we did. We saw how, like, they moved the dinosaurs from paddock to paddock. They hid the Carnosaur because it was too aggressive. We saw the underground tunnels. No, yeah, you're right. I retract that. Yeah, we did see how the park operates. We just didn't see how much of, like, the actual park that we knew of, aside from, like, the Mosasaur arena. But even then, we didn't see much of the Mosasaur arena that was different to what we already knew. Well, we didn't see anything that was different, really. Yeah, Mark Davies says they reached out to you guys with the viral marking, so yeah, they should absolutely do the similar thing here. Well, it's like, to be honest, we were never reached out for anything to do with Camp Cretaceous. Like, they didn't ask us about anything. And as far as I'm aware, they did go onto our websites to, like, get some information to link stuff up, you know, which is cool and everything. But when it comes to, like, what they show in the series and how certain elements are handled, like I said previously, I really think they missed the ball on some stuff, making it feel less busy and less like the island that we know. And there's so many retcons to what we know that it was, like, really annoying. And it's like, there'll be people out there who hear me say that and be like, well, what about the gate in Fallen Kingdom? Because in the Mosasaur Lagoon and the whole and the whole park moving. Yeah, I don't like it. Like, I don't mind the gate so much because it's in a sort of area of the Mosasaur Lagoon we didn't exactly see perfectly in Jurassic World. There's, like, kind of a bit of a leeway where you can kind of fit it in towards the right of the, if you're facing the Innovation Center, towards the right of the lagoon, that sort of area we didn't exactly get to see all of. So the gate, the actual lagoon gate itself, I'm not bothered by really. But because there's sort of kind of wiggle room there. But the whole park moving, yeah, I'm annoyed at it. The map is wrong, and they shouldn't have done that. So I'm being consistent here. Freaky Boy John Dog says, I definitely see this show as the Telltale game in terms of its role in canon. Yes, that's how I see it. It's all up to you. You can completely consider it as such or not. You can even just consider certain scenes as only canon. I don't particularly do that because it gets a bit hard to say that certain scenes are canon. I mean, if you want to say, oh yeah, a bunch of kids were on the zip line when the Indominus attacked, I don't know. I don't really know how that works, but yeah, it's to me it felt like the Telltale game all over again. It's like, you know, they're pushing it. This is canon with the movie. You're seeing it from a different perspective, and then it, like, retcons loads of stuff and messes with stuff, and then you're like, okay, well, this clearly isn't canon, is it? Yeah, Gigaraptor says, I really think CC is a good opportunity to see the dinosaurs we didn't see in the films, like Edmontosaurus, Metriacanthosaurus, and adult Pachycephalosaurus. We did see that in Jurassic World, just to be nerdy.
Yeah, we did see that in the actual film, Gigaraptor. What are you talking about? I think you'll find it was on the CCTV footage in the control room.
But sadly, I think we're only going to see the dinosaurs with the IMM models. Well, yeah, one can hope, though. Yeah, see more. Yeah, no, I got what you meant. Yeah, see you later, Titan of Serpents. I'll say another thing I liked actually about the show. I did like the first dinosaur we see, which is the Compy. I did like that. The whole, it jumps on Darius and there's that gorgeous shot, and that looked great. Like that little CGI model of the Compy looked awesome. And I liked the fact that it darted across the road, and it was like a complete homage to the novel. There's a scene in that where I believe it's a raptor. It might even be a Compy, but I believe it's a young raptor runs across the road. I believe if my memory serves me correct, it's a young raptor runs across the road, and then someone passes it off, and they're like, "Nah, it must have been a Compy." They're always getting out their paddock or something like that, and that's exactly what happens in Camp Cretaceous. So I like that moment. That was cool. This isn't necessarily like another jab at the show, but wouldn't it have been cool if they bumped into Zack and Gray on their journey? Or like they see Zack and Gray in the Jurassic Park Jeep driving past. Like, wouldn't that have been kind of cool at one point? Mark Davies says, which episode of Dino-Defenders is this artwork for? Episode 4! It is, yeah, for episode 4, which is going to be a while coming out yet, but I'm really enjoying doing this episode. Freaky Boy John Dog says, I didn't like how the show pulled a Ludia mobile game moment and used the raptor screeches on a completely unrelated animal. Why did the Compy sound like a raptor sometimes? I know they did one where they did a fake out with the Compy, you see the shadow on the wall and the Compy, and it looks like a raptor. I kind of liked that, but at the same time, yeah, they were using the raptor sounds for the Compy sometimes. But the one thing I was surprised by in terms of sound is, I might be wrong on this, but I swear they used the Godzilla 1998 roar for the Indominus several times. And I kept hearing, I was like, what was that all about? Hmm. Now, just a little update about Dino-Defenders I want to say here. I'm going to be posting a very juicy, spoiler-filled clip on my Patreon. So for those of you that are watching that are members of the Patreon, expect a update in the coming, well, maybe even later today. Just a small update about like where I am with this. And just to say thank you for being so patient, but I'll also post a quasi interesting shot that I think you guys might like to see as a way of treating you guys who are patrons to something very special. Okay, let's. Darken this. Then we're just going to use the highlight tool on the outside. Actually, maybe not that bright. Jurassic World New Era asks, can we speak about sauna? Yeah, why? Why wouldn't you be able to speak about sauna? Gigaraptor says, the fact that you use some ideas from Regenesis for Dino-Defenders mentioned by Clayton could affect the story if it gets greenlighted. Oh, the story for Regenesis would need an overhaul entirely, pretty much. Like, the basic premise of the plot would be the same, but it would definitely need a whole new, a whole overhaul of the plot, for the most part. Like the plot of Dino-Defenders, when I say, so, for example, the element from Regenesis that's in Dino-Defenders is the van. You know, that tiger-striped van? Aside from that, I can't think of what else from Regenesis is in Dino-Defenders. Monster Man Alex says, I was amazed earlier when you cut and paste the rock to make its reflection. Oh, thank you, man. Can't wait for the update, says Monster Man Alex. Oh, it's a bit, it's going to be like, it's kind of a big spoiler, but I want to post it because it's going to be so long before you see episode 4, so I want to give you guys, who are the Patreon, people who support me on Patreon, I want to give you something special so you, you know, can use it to to know it's going to be worth the wait, kind of thing. Part of me still like, oh, you shouldn't post it. You should keep it secret. But I'm like, nah, I want to post it for you guys. Hashtag make the tiger striped van canon, says Redhood. Well, it is canon to Dino-Defenders. Okay, so let's tackle a Jurassic misconception, which then I can clip out and upload as a Jurassic misconception video. So let me try. I'm just trying to think what other misconceptions I have to talk about. So let me have a look at my list. Let me have a look. What we got here? Okay. I need to send myself something. The vegetation on sauna. Let me send myself. I'm going to send myself something because I need to bring it up. So, one of the things I saw a few people say online once Camp Cretaceous was out. Let me. Where is this? Oh, there it is. Sorry, bear with me. I'm just going to send myself something. Cool. That's a loud motorbike going past. Goodness me. Okay, this might be a bit of a controversial one amongst other fans, so let's see if you guys agree. Here it is. Let me just download this. So, the misconception I want to tackle today in terms of the Jurassic Park franchise is I want to talk about... And let me change the music, actually. What's going on here? Let's go right back to the beginning. The thing I want to sort of talk about is the misconception of the dinosaurs in the Jurassic Park film series acting like animals. Now, I hear you say, what? Jack, what do you mean? What are you going to say? Well, my point or my contention on this is why I believe it's a misconception is while the dinosaurs of the Jurassic Park film series, and I'm talking all of the films, why I believe they don't exactly act like animals is because they're acting as the filmmakers intend them to act, because they're not real. And while they may actually exhibit traits that we have seen in animals, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are acting like, well, they are acting like animals, but it's very hard to predict that that is actually what an animal would do in the situation that you see those dinosaurs in. And one of the things I see, and this is where the kind of debate amongst the differences between the original 3 Jurassic Park movies and the 2 new ones comes into play, because I see this everywhere. A lot of the times from people who don't particularly like the new films. I hear a lot of them say that, oh, you know, in the new films the dinosaurs act more like monsters than they do animals. And whenever I've had conversations with people who say that sort of thing in the past, I always have to clarify with them, well, you know, we've got to separate the hybrids. The Indominus and the Indoraptor definitely don't act like, well, they act animalistic, but they don't act like proper animals, because they're the hybrids. They're doing their own thing, per se. And also, you could add Blue into that category because she's an outlier. She has empathy. She's ridiculously intelligent, and she acts like I don't know. She does act kind of animalistic when you look at chimps and stuff. But this notion that the Jurassic Park Lost World, Jurassic Park 3 dinosaurs, and even Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdoms ones act like animals is strange when they're not real. And they act exactly how the filmmakers want them to act. Now, I know why this has come to light in the fandom in recent years, because a lot of people bring up the whole the volcano sequence in Fallen Kingdom, and they're saying like, oh, the Baryonyx is acting like a monster, just trying to eat people. It's not scared, which I argue it is. That's why it's lashing out. But like the T-Rex and the Carnotaurus are hunting during a volcano eruption. You know, they don't act like animals, and I think that's kind of a silly argument to make if you're not gonna look at the facts of the movie, like what the movie tells you is going on. So, and I'm gonna break down that sequence just in, for example, as the example of why I believe it's disingenuous to say that the dinosaurs in the Jurassic World series, or Fallen Kingdom in particular, don't act like real animals. Based on that, the way we see that scene play out, Owen is drugged, and the lava, the eruption is starting to happen, like it's building up, and we see Owen, he's lying on the ground. The Sinoceratops comes out and tries to wake him up by licking him, and then it runs off, and we know why it's running off. It's because of the lava, and they show that the Sinoceratops wanted to wake up Owen because it knew of the impending danger. And for whatever reason, that Sinoceratops might have a fondness towards humans or something because of its upbringing. We have no idea of that, so that's kind of just conjecture. But the point is that the lava is coming, and that's what makes all these herbivores flee the jungles. So we see Owen, when he's running down the hill, going, "Run!" Herbivores and God knows the pteranodons and that come out, and they run out into a game trail. You know, that big open plain, much like the scene in The Lost World. And that's where the T-Rex and the Carnotauruses are picking them off. Now, some people I've seen have said, well, why isn't the T-Rex and the Carnotaurus scared of the erupting volcano? Because one, it's been erupting for years. Like when we see in the opening of the BBC opening, you know, the volcano's making loads of noise when Owen and that arrive at the communications tower, or the tower where they want to look for all the dinosaurs' signatures. You know, the thing's puff and smoke is making loads of noise, and obviously it's not cracking the ground open and revealing lava yet. But when that happens, that does spook the dinosaurs. They start to flee and run. But there's a shot in the film that specifically shows that the mountain is cracking down the side, and when that happens, that's when the lava comes out, and that's what forces the herbivores out of the jungle. Now, bear in mind, the ground cracking in the lava isn't necessarily going to throw other dinosaurs further away from this situation off, because the island's been making noise and clearly been through a lot over the years. Like, we see the monorail has been destroyed and has collapsed in. We see that the Mosasaur lagoon's completely flooded. Things have gone awry on the island. So the dinosaurs have been used to it for a long time. They've been used to a lot of noise and commotion. And they'll be desperate. The island is dying. We see lots of corpses lying around, and I believe the filmmaker said that's because the water's been disrupted. Basically, the island is dying because of this volcano, and so are the dinosaurs along with it. It's not a good time to be a dinosaur on Isla Nublar at that time, and so the dinosaurs are also desperate to eat. So the carnivores are desperate. So that's why the Carnotaurus is quick to lash out. And one thing we can also argue is the fact that the Carnotaurus, for one example, we don't know if it's looking to actually eat. It might just be lashing out trying to eat stuff because it's panicking. And I guess the argument is because it stalks Owen and around the gyrosphere. But at the same time, like I said, the island has been making a lot of noise and a lot of commotion for a long time, so they are kind of used to it at this point. If we're going to go along with the fact that they're, if Blue, there's a shot of Owen in the jungle before he sees Blue, and you can hear this rumbling and there's this commotion going on. So, the island has been making a lot of noise, is my point, and all that. So they're kind of used to it. The T-Rex attacks the Carnotaurus because it's territorial, or it's hunting, or whatever it's doing. But we see when the mountain finally gives way and explodes, it takes that shockwave to knock the T-Rex out of kilter. So this behaviour of the dinosaurs in Fallen Kingdom, for me, when you compare it to the behaviour of the dinosaurs in the previous films, is not anything out of the ordinary for a Jurassic movie. They act exactly how the filmmakers want these animals to act. Again, aside from Blue and the Indominus and the Endoraptor, they act as animals in so much as the filmmakers want them to act animalistically. Now, what I sent myself to talk about is one of the things that I never really hear fans talk about is the actual behaviour of the dinosaurs in the old film. And one of the things I want to open, I want to see if I can open this in Photoshop. So let me just have a look-see here. I believe I can actually open that in this. Okay, can we play it? Is there a way of playing this? No. Maybe I'm going to have to do a window capture. Let me just see about this. So why I've got this picture of Dita Stark is one of the things I brought up in a conversation, and it got brushed aside, no one wanted to talk about this, is let me just see, does this work? Yeah, that does. Let me see if I can bring this up on OBS. Window capture. Here we go. Okay, let's do this. Is this sequence here? Now, I am under the impression, and this is a GIF, so you have to bear in mind, I'm under the impression that there was a scene in The Lost World where Dita Stark meets a compy, and he turns his taser on, it does the whole shoots out. This compy is unfazed, and they say that there's been no visitors to the island, so they have no reason to fear. That's what Dr. Burke tells him, and we see it play out, And then he zaps the little compy, and he says, "Now it does." When you get to this sequence, when he says it's not polite to sneak up on people, this compy, as you can see with its behaviour here, recognises that stun button, because when he launches it out, it knows to flee. It's okay, something bad's going to happen here. That leads me to believe that this compy here might be the same compy that we saw earlier on in the film. And if that's the case, that means this compy these compies are actively hunting Dieter Stark for what he did to this one across the island. And moments like this, and also, you know, when the T-Rex is in San Diego, that whole sequence of the T-Rex in San Diego, yes, it has animalistic traits like drinking from the pool and needing to eat before, or drink before it eats and all this sort of stuff. But the fact that it runs down Main Street or down that street, the fact that it like kind of bursts out of the SS Ventura in this like tremendous roar, and then walks around. It's like it's not scared. It's not like sniffing the air crazily. You know, a real animal would actually, probably most likely, still be in the cargo hold like this, like looking around, like, because it doesn't know what's going to happen. It's going to be a scared animal, especially with the amount of smells and the different stuff. And when you get to Jurassic Park 3, I mean, the raptors are just crazily intelligent. Like the one that's like pretending to be in the tube, and like you can see it, like it knows that from the other side it looks like a severed head in a tube, leads me to believe that that raptor is probably more clever than Blue at this point. But this whole notion that the Jurassic, even in Jurassic Park, like the whole you know, what's a good example? Like you got the raptors in themselves act more like, you know, monsters than they do real animals in that film. Even the way they're framed and shot is very monstrous. And I know that, like, they lean on and I think this is where it stems from. In the first film, they lean on, you know, we made these dinosaurs feel like animals more than monsters, which is what they do. Like the dinosaurs in the film series, and I'm arguing all of the films, do have that sense of like animalistic behavior. But they don't act like real animals whatsoever. They act how the filmmakers want them to act. Like the Dilophosaurus is a good example as well. You know, it's looking at you know, Nedry with this curious thing, and then it goes to attack. It's very animalistic, but it's still acting with the time beats and everything that the filmmakers want them to act in. And when I hear people argue that, oh, the dinosaurs don't act like animals in the new films, I really believe that's a complete misconception, because the dinosaurs don't do anything in the new films that we haven't seen the dinosaurs do before in the previous films, aside from the hybrids and Blue. I'd love to hear an example of where the dinosaurs don't act like animals in the new ones, because even, like, for example, the baryonyx in the bunker of Fallen Kingdom, you know, animals that are scared in closed environments. I've seen circuses with lions where it goes horrendously wrong. You know, those lions, they don't necessarily want to eat, they just want to kill what's over there. And if that baryonyx, like, if we're going to think animalistically, that baryonyx, I'm going to get rid of this, by the way, because I've got to continue painting. That baryonyx is trying to escape whatever's going on outside, which we know is the lava and God knows what else is happening. We don't know where that baryonyx has come from, for starters. So it could be fleeing. It could be fleeing all the stuff outside. And we know, you know, as it's walking down the tunnel, it's got the lava is coming down and it's making it roar. So, you know, that animal is going to be terrified. And if we're thinking animalistically here, it's like it probably wasn't hunting. It just wanted to kill whatever was in that tiny room, because territory and freaking out, like it doesn't know what's happening. And I think some people do point out, like, you know, it gets hit on the head with lava and then it keeps coming. And it's like, I believe Clayton was sending me some stuff today about how that's actually possible. That when lava hits you, it's cool to begin with. I'm just going to see if I can find it again. It's called something like the Leigh-Flein. Oh my god. Leigh-Flein hold effect. Oh my word, I'm going to have to look that up. Let's have a look at this. Lien Fien field effect. Let's see what does that come up with. What are you talking about, clean? Oh yeah, he said he's talking about Owen's hand being in the lava as well. He said, I watched a few videos on something called the Le Flain Hold. Oh, I've got it. I put the wrong thing. No wonder I can't find it. Let me see if I can find this. Bear with me. Oh, I'm gonna have to do this whole research, but the point is that the theory goes, obviously, if lava was to hit you really quickly, it would instantly burn your skin, killing nerve endings, but also would go super cold and go black pretty quickly. There's a video of guys slapping it with his bare hands really quickly, and then he's fine. Oh, Laden frost effect. There you go, Clayton. He's finally got it. Let's have a look. Laden frost effect. Laden frost effect is a physical phenomenon in which a liquid close to the surface that is significantly hotter than the liquid's boiling point produces an insulating vapor layer that keeps the liquid from boiling rapidly. Because of this repulsive force, a droplet hovers over the surface rather than making physical contact with the hot surface. This is most commonly seen when cooking, when a few drops of water are sprinkled in a hot pan. If the pan's temperature is at above the Laden process, okay. Yeah. So the idea is that, it gets hit in the head, it would hurt it, but it's not going to necessarily stop it. And if anything, with an animal like the baryonyx with its thick skin and stuff, is probably going to enrage it more than anything, and make for a cool sequence. But the point is, the dinosaurs act how the filmmakers want them to act, and they've always done that. And while they hold animalistic traits, that doesn't mean the new films they don't act like animals. If that makes any sense. But anyway, that's my misconception, is when people say, the Jurassic Park, Lost World, Jurassic Park 3 dinosaurs act like animals, and in the new films they don't. I think that's not true whatsoever. I think that's a misconception, because I don't believe the dinosaurs in the original films act like real animals necessarily. They also have animalistic traits, but they don't act like how real animals would act, because one, and it's part of the whole Jurassic Park thing, you can't predict how the animals or how these dinosaurs would act, especially in real life, because one, they're not real, and two, we don't even know how dinosaurs would act to begin with anyway. So it's like, who knows? We have no idea. All speculative. Yo, Geometrics. It's important to recognise that the dinosaurs in Fallen Kingdom, says Freaky Boy John Dog, are either in a dangerous environment or locked in a cage, or of course they're going to act aggressive. Stiggy was more than likely scared and stressed. Yes, exactly. That was the one time I felt their behaviour didn't feel right. There should have definitely been a moment where the Carno-Alo had a scrap with a herbivore and tear each other apart. Yeah, I mean, the Carno, definitely had a scrap with the Sinoceratops. But you got to look at if you look at the situation in the film that's happening, like the massive eruption hadn't taken place at the point where the Carnosaurus and the Sinoceratops are fighting. Like things have sort of, it's building up. It's like the calm before the storm. And I think a lot of people tend to forget that the herbivores are fleeing not because they know that the whole thing's going to blow, but they're fleeing the lava that is just cracked out of the jungle and is spewing out and is pouring out of where they're hiding. And the herbivores have been hiding in the jungles because they're herbivores. Like if they're out in the open, the carnivores are going to get them. So they're hiding in amongst the trees, which is an animalistic behavior, by the way. And then because of the lava, they come fleeing out, and that's when the predators take their opportunity to grab something. The one argument I do understand is when people bring up like the pteranodons in Jurassic World, saying that they acted more like monsters than you know, real animals. Although again, they're not real animals. But the point is, and I remember debating on Twitter, good old Twitter, crappy old Twitter, debating back in the day. Well, look at where they were caged and see the fact that they dive underwater to hunt tells me that they want to be near a body of water to hunt. So that's why they flee to the nearest body of water, which is Main Street. And just so happens that there's loads of meals big enough for them to pick up or at least attack or try and attack next to Main Street. And obviously none of this is spoken on screen. Like no character goes, oh my god, the pteranodons, they're sea-bearing animals, and they're obviously, or they're coastal animals, and they're hunting the humans like fish or whatever. They don't say that. It's all like what you have to infer. But I did get the opportunity to write all that on the DPG website, so now it's canon. So I tried to right a wrong. You know, I did agree that the pteranodons were acting kind of monstrous, and they still kind of do in Fallen Kingdom for the most part. Oh no, not actually, because when that one comes out of Lockwood's Manor and attacks that guy, it's like it just picks him up and drops him. It's kind of weird, but at the same time, you know, it could be just trying to get rid of him because it sees him as kind of a threat, I guess. But that's the thing, like trying to predict the actual behavior of how these things should act is a kind of ridiculous conversation to have in a series with fictional animals in it. And then to say that and this is all because I saw people on Twitter recently saying, oh, you know, Camp Cretaceous is the first time in a long while that the dinosaurs actually act like animals. I heard the same thing about Battle at Big Rock, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I have no idea. Like, do you actually know what that means to say that about a fictional animal? Like, I don't get it. But anyway, this is probably going to be another really long misconception thing, but yeah, there you go. Redhead says, animals raised in captivity aren't always the most functional. Owen Grady. Exactly. Gigaraptor says, I like to think that the poachers mentioned in the virus site is a hint some sauna dinosaurs being out in the world, or maybe as part of the Arab Prince collection or something like that. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Freaky Boy says, I wish they kept the scene where the Indoraptor mimics his handler's grin. Without the context, it did feel like a weird moment, as cool as it were. Yeah, no, I agree with that. But that's why I like leave the Indominus and the Indoraptor, and for the most part Blue, out of this conversation, because they are outliers. Like, Blue is unique to the raptors, and the Indominus and Indoraptor are hybrid monsters. Like, they are monsters. Like, there's no argument to be had there. So basically what I'm trying to say is if you see anyone online saying this is the first time the dinosaurs have acted like animals ever in a Jurassic World related thing, just ask them. Just say, what the hell do you mean? What are you talking about? Ask him, what do you think about that compy that remembered the taser in the Lost World? Like, does that mean that compy was chasing Dieter Stark across the entire island with his little compy brothers and sisters because they wanted revenge? Redhead says, I think they mean that the animals aren't trying to get the characters. Like, let's say Anaconda and Anaconda. The aloe that went away when shot. Toro left after getting burnt, etc. Well, the T-Rex left after the eruption hit it. You know? Like the T-Rex again in Jurassic World didn't attack Blue after the Indominus was killed. It just walked away. He also says in the first movie they're not monsters, Lex, they're animals. Yeah, so they are animals. Like, I'm not saying they're not animals. They are animals, but they are fictional animals. Like, they're not real. So the filmmakers can do whatever they want with them and have them behave how the filmmakers want them to behave. That's the thing. That's how it works. That's like in Dino-Defenders. The dinosaurs are acting how I want them to act. They're not acting... And if that has, like, animalistic traits... So, like, okay, here's a good example of what I mean. Like, the difference is what I mean. When I saw people saying, Camp Cretaceous, the dinosaurs act like real or act like animals for the first time in a long while, instantly in my mind came the scene where Bumpy runs up to Ben, wagging his tail like a dog. And I was like, yes, that's an animalistic behaviour. But that's not. That's how they want it to act. They want it to have this like dog-like trait to it. But imagining an actual Ankylosaurus wagging its tail like a dog seems very strange, considering that it has a club on the end of it. So wagging it like a dog seems quite dangerous. But who knows? Maybe the Ankylosaurus did wag its tail like a dog when it saw something it likes. Jurassic World Nero says, I was thinking Sauna was completely blown by the volcano present there until I saw the tease of Sauna on Instagram. Yeah, we're going to have to see what happens. Okay, so I need to make a new layer with one of these. Let me add a shadow. Oh no, actually, let me finish doing the... Redhead says, I swear if some paper is released confirming that ankylosaurs actually wag their tails like a dog. It's like, yeah. And also, like, one of the other things in, you know, in Camp Cretaceous, like they did add animalistic behaviour to the dinosaurs, which I argue they've been doing and haven't stopped doing since the first film. But you know, like the Sinoceratops, they're saying like, oh, don't spook it or it will go running into the herd and spook the rest of the herd, all this sort of stuff. But then 5 seconds later, they tie vines around it and they offer it a branch, and then it quite happily drags this gyrosphere out of the mud. And in real life, I could very easily imagine that Ankylosaurus not being phased by that stupid twig of branch, whatever that kid's holding, to lure it over, because the weight of the gyrosphere is going to be, it's never done that before. It's not a horse that's been broken and trained to do that kind of thing. It's a Sinoceratops that's never done anything like that in its life, and 5 seconds later it's pulling a gyrosphere out of the mud. That's not how an animal would actually behave. But they do add animalistic behaviours to it previously, so it sells you on the idea of it being an animal. And they do that all the time. They do that in every single film that's come out. That's how it works. And like, when people complain about like the way the pteranodons act in Jurassic World, for example, not going off the viral marketing stuff that we wrote, when people complain about that and then they praise Camp Cretaceous for having dinosaurs acting like actual animals since the original films or whatever, they, you know, I'm straw manning their argument there, but like when they say things like that, it's there's a whole scene where the pteranodons are attacking a train. Attacking a train. That's not exactly animalistic behaviour. Now, I know they say, oh, they're like seabirds or whatever. I can't remember the excuse they give, but they do say something to explain it. But it's like, that's a whole metal train. Why would a group of pteranodons attack a metal train? The helicopter Masrani's it makes sense because it's right above them, and you know, it's like a flying thing. They don't know what it is, but like a train moving along, it's like, come on. See you later, Gigaraptor. Hope you enjoyed it. Stupid Dinosaurs says, a small part of me is on the bonus disc and it feels like it's spelled out. He says, no. Oh, right, you're talking about the reveal of Maisie. Okay. You guys are on a different conversation to me. I hope what I made just makes sense, like what I just said then about the whole dinosaur behaviour and all that. I hope that makes sense. It's just one of those things where like I hear these things getting said by fans and they get thrown out there and then people, you know, repeat them. And I don't hear anyone actually discuss those points. They just start to believe it, and they're like, "Yeah, those new films, they just act like monsters. They don't act like real animals." And it's like, are you sure? As John Cena says, are you sure about that? Thanks, Carlangus World. Derek says, "Hey Jack, what are your thoughts on the new company Manticore?" I'm going to be honest, I really don't have any thoughts aside from I wouldn't be surprised if they turned out to be someone else. But I don't know that for sure because I'd never heard of them until watching Camp Cretaceous. So. I will say this though, it was weird that they showed Brooklyn picking up the USB with the little dinosaur symbol on, and at the end of that episode we see that USB being put in to the drone that flies off, and obviously the rest of the series focuses on Sammy being the one who's the spy, and there's a moment where Sammy asks Brooklyn, like, what were you doing in there? And she goes, oh, nothing. And then no one questions it for the rest of the series. So part of me, I don't know if I'm thinking too deep into this, but part of me is like thinking, hang on, is Brooklyn actually the spy? Like Sammy is a spy, but is Brooklyn a spy for someone else? Or maybe even Manticore or whatever? Because we didn't see Thingy Bob. We didn't see Sammy take that USB. As far as we know, we saw all the evidence points towards Brooklyn taking it. And you know, when they're all complaining to Sammy that she took, or like Brooklyn's like, oh, you took skin samples and you know, and you were sneaking around Wu's lab. It's like, unless we're led to believe that Sammy took one of those memory sticks. Red Hood, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But I don't know for sure. Mark Davis says, who's going to suspect the massive social media influencer that records almost every moment of her life as being a spy after all? Well, we see her looking for new content. She's like, well, this will be cool for my followers. And she starts filming the secret stuff, doesn't she? So, I don't know. Maybe she is just doing it for her followers and that. And it was Sammy who took the USB stick. But, I don't know. We saw Brooklyn pick one up. To me, that seems quite suspicious. Did we ever see her put it down? The show made a point of showing the USB stick. Ilya says, yeah, you can see that someone that put the USB in was slim in terms of body type. Maybe I'll have to go back and watch that to double check, but yeah. I don't know, I'm suspicious of Brooklyn. So. Okay, so there's 45 minutes left of the stream, and then I'm going to have to make a move, guys. But I will be, obviously I've got 45 minutes left, so I'm not going straight away, but just to say I will be back this time next week, 12 o'clock, I'll be back live streaming again. And I'll probably have another Jurassic misconception to talk about, maybe. Alright, so what we're going to do now is cut this out. Doesn't have to be perfect. Ah, oh, bugger. Messed up. Shouldn't have been using my stylus. I was going to ask you guys who are watching live right now if you could do me a favour and make sure that you tell everyone you know about these live streams happening every Tuesday at 12. I want to try and really build up the audience and get a lot of people excited for episode 4 of Dino-Defenders. And it'd be cool to get more and more people on board with coming to these streams and joining the gossip. But yeah, if you could tell everyone you know about these streams, really help build them up. I'm on my way to 10,000 subscribers on this channel, and it'd be nice to start to really build up the audience. movies. Monster Man Alex says, I know Sauna may or may not have dinosaurs, but I'd love for the campers to get off Nublar on a boat just to crash on Sauna. Dumb but fun. I'd accept it. Why not? I'll tell everyone no, whether they care or not, says Monster Man Alex. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Elvis Presley movies. He was the king. Right, now I'm going to put a bit of a shadow under this. Freaky Boy John Dog says, I will die on the hill that Fallen Kingdom has the best ending of all the films so far. It's pretty good, isn't it? It's pretty darn good. Yeah, Stupid Dinosaur. They shouldn't have shown nearly all of it in this trailer. So that was such a mistake. I think they may have learnt from that with Dominion, but obviously time will tell. This COVID situation wouldn't have helped because that means they really want to like push it. So who knows? Yeah, Fallen Kingdom does do what JP3 should have done. Could you imagine the series had JP3 actually done that? Like where we'd be at? I think we'd be at human dinosaur hybrids by now. That John Sayles script would be more of a reality. But then again, you know, they do take a lot of stuff from the John Sayles script and retool it for the new films, which I actually appreciate because I do like the John Sayles script, but not necessarily as a Jurassic film. It's a fun read, but the script itself wouldn't have made a good Jurassic film. Make a fun cartoon series. You know, a short mini cartoon series. I'd take John Sayles' Jurassic Park 4. That'd be amazing. Give me that. Give me that over Camp Cretaceous. See you later, Derek. Okay, right, so now let's add another. think I might be done with this, really. Almost. Let me just add a layer of light. Oops. Yeah, Giacchino's score for it was amazing for Fallen Kingdom. Monster Man Alex CC took the idea of using the resonating chamber to have the Raptors attack the T-Rex from an unused JP3 concept. Yes, yes it did. Which was cool. I did like seeing that. What was I saying? Freaky Giacchino really snapped in Fallen Kingdom. I personally wasn't that big on his Jurassic World score, and I'm a fan of his, but he really took himself on a whole new level in Fallen Kingdom. Yeah, I mean, I really liked his Jurassic World score, but I can't say if I prefer the Fallen Kingdom one. I don't know. I couldn't choose, but the Fallen Kingdom one is definitely more bombastic. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a track in Fallen Kingdom, and Freaky, you might enjoy this. A little bit of information. I don't know if you know it already, but Wheatley's score, or the score that you hear for Wheatley, what's it? That goes like bum bum, ba-da-dum bum. Oh god, how does that go? I'm gonna try and remember now. Oh, I've got music in my ears, that's why. How does it go? Oh, wait, I need to listen to it. Got it on here. Yeah, that. That one. That track. That is actually is the score, an unused track in the Lost World. Which was used in the behind the scenes of the Lost World. I believe it's called The Hunt or something. And they changed, I believe they changed the tempo and something to do with it, but it's the same exact song. They've just he used an unused track from the Lost World for Fallen Kingdom, is what I'm trying to say. So you listen to, I believe it's called The Hunt. I'm not going to play it because I'll get flagged for copyright. but it's this used in the in the making of The Lost World, I believe. Like the old feature on the DVD. You can hear it in the credits. Gary Pfeiffer says, "Am I late?" Well, yeah, I'm about to finish up a little bit earlier than I said I would, because this has come along quicker than I thought. So yeah, but I'm going to be about just a few more minutes. I think I'm pleased with that, actually. Okay, that's the light, so I want that to be on that layer. Freaky said, "It's so awesome that his first gig was The Lost World on PS1. That game had a brilliant score as well. Primordial Forest, Sulphur Fields, Into the Trees were my favourites." You must have got a dig hearing. I know you said you weren't a massive fan of the Jurassic World score, but you got to appreciate that he did put some of the score of The Lost World in the scene where the raptors are chasing the van, right? I want to keep calling you Dino of the Freak, but I believe you've changed your name. Okay, that's all done. So today we got this frame finished, and we also got this finished. Which this, you might be like, well, what the heck is that? Well, this is... bear with me. Not that. This is this section here of this layer. So this bit here is this here. You can see actually that this, I need to cool this a little bit because the colour doesn't match up, so let's just add in a little bit more blue. There you go, that's better. Save that. And then we got the forest, which is actually looking pretty good. What time is it over there again? Because I just woke up, says Gary. It is 2:30. 2:30 in the afternoon. So I start these live streams every Tuesday at 12 o'clock UK time. So 2.5 hours ago is when I started. I'm just noticing things now. I just want to tweak. So make sure you tell everyone about them, because I'm going to try and do my best to make this a definite weekly thing. We've done 2 weeks now, so far so good. Well, actually, I wonder if we can add some vines. Sorry, I know I said I was finishing, but let me just see about this. Do I have any? Oh, actually, it'll probably be a good idea to add in. Maybe add in. Oh, I don't know. No, I want the forest to feel different here. Well, I'm just trying to see if I can find one of the vines. It's in episode 2, isn't it? Oh no, in episode 3. Oh, they're all blurry. Let me open up that one that's not blurry. Epic King Edward, Water Lettuce says, welcome to the jungle. We've got fun and games. Mike Davis says, damn, that was quick. 2.5 hours. Time flies, I guess. Yes, it does. It really does when I'm doing this. Bear with me. No, not that one. Ah. This one? Oh, I can steal a little bit of a vine from here. Just want to fill the jungle out a little bit more. Ooh, look at these. These are all from different episodes. It's kind of fun. Oh, I should have saved these vines somewhere else. Where would they be? Just going to look at the final episodes. That's not going to work. Ah, they're in that frame. Okay, alright, I might have found them. Gary 5 says, still waiting on the new species names. Keep working, dude. Well, just to tease you some more, in this frame here of the jungle that you can see that I'm working on, there is one of the new species is going to be in this exact shot. So, just to tease you a little bit more. Oh, see, I want these vines here. Well, they look like they've been cut out anyway. So, look at the detail on this, and like the bloomin', you don't really see much of this. That's actually quite a nice shot. I might have to post that on Instagram. Pretty cool, man. Actually, I'm going to keep that open. Oh god, where is this? Where are these vines? I swear I saved them somewhere. You know what, maybe if I go to and just search it. Of course I didn't save it. Cooposaurus professionalis. Is it in the van crash sequence? Ah, ha ha ha. Right, found it. There we go. I need to save this again, but I'll save it as in the assets, the jungle folder. Save it as vine tree. There we go. So now if I just take this. See, that's better. Look at that. I know it's like kind of cheating, copy and pasting, but why not? There you go, that's all I wanted to do. Let's actually add those to this top layer. So we've got that top layer like this. And then we've got this middle layer down here. We've got this here. That's because something is going to go... Something or someone is going to go here and needs to be behind these branches, these leaves here, because that's like the forest floor. And that's actually just reminded me that I wanted to grab this very carefully. I say very carefully, not overtly carefully. Like so. Change the colour. I want it to be like dirt. Oh, that looks pretty good. Okay, now we're done. Now we're done. There's your forest, everyone. Looks great. Thank you, Stupid Dinosaur. Alright guys, well, thank you very much for coming to today's stream. I really appreciate it. I hope you share the news that these are happening every Tuesday at 12 o'clock so more people can turn up. And actually, I always like to do the comparisons, don't I? The before and after. Let's see. Where's the before and after of this? Where are we looking? There we go. So there's before, after. Before, after. There you go. I won't do the other one because I don't really have time. So yeah, before and after. Perfect. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure if you want to support the channel and the series, go to my Patreon, which is listed down there, that way. And let everyone know about this series. And be sure to look out for the next Jurassic Misconceptions video, which will be clipped from this live stream because I talked all about it. It'll probably be a long one again. But anyway, yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's stream, and I will catch you on the flip. See you later, guys, next Tuesday. Bye.